Did you hear about him breaking into the dog food bag?
Really? He was able to pull that together?
He did. My sister was wondering how he kept, having intestinal issues.
Nothing new.
All over the house. And she found out that the golden retriever, Alicia's dog, had a bag that was, Lucy's dog food was on the floor, and Fez had carved out a little hidden hole in the back where he scratched through it and just stuck his head in and drank deeply of the bounty. And so
hold up. Is Fez still doing the thing where he takes one pebble and
they've commented
has a deep conversation with that pebble before eating it?
Yes, he's never been good at eating at a quick rate or with any sort of grace.
This is Fez, our cat. He has probably been our most discussed topic for 6 months straight now. He has quite a unique story. He has inspired a t-shirt company and somewhat started a cultural political revolution. The name of this movement is For Fez. Real original, right? Yeah, well, we thought so. Today we will discuss the philosophy behind For Fez Apparel, this t-shirt company that he started. We'll address your pressing questions about this blossoming movement. Why is it taking off? What is it? Where do we go from here? And who is the infamous John Nobler? We'll discuss the impending collapse of society and why anarchy is becoming more and more relevant.
Whale, swim with me, whale. We will go far into the sea. You will take me onto your back. Never look back, never look back.
We come to you live from Arsenio Hall, Pasadena, California. Welcome to Not For Fez podcast. Podcast where we talk about Fez behind his back and other important stuff.
Alright, so let's talk about the name of this podcast. What is the name of our podcast?
Podcast name Not For Fez podcast.
Not For Fez podcast. Oh, and we have to talk about For Fez. How For Fez started.
Right.
So
you started it, so
No. The name, just the phrase For Fez.
Oh, well, man, that's basically the phrase For Fez was going to be a very ambiguous sort of charity.
Yeah.
For our cat. So we were going to have sort of a commercial with very, early to mid 2000s slideshow pictures of this overweight cat that I got from
with scabs.
He came pre-installed with scabs when I got him from the pound.
And some spotches of balding.
Yeah, he really looked rough. Didn't have a lot going for him. He was overweight. Scabs, flaky skin.
Yeah.
There would be a slideshow of Fez's visage and visage and all of the pronunciations of that word that I shouldn't have used. And basically it would just, the voiceover would come in and it would say, as a sort of, as a fundraising effort to help Fez out, is that directly before sneezing, you would have to yell For Fez.
But you yell it like this. For Fez!
Right, like that. So.
And then it evolved. It kind of took on a nature of its own. Like whenever.
But by that he means we just stopped talking about it.
We stopped talking about the origins and we just started using it. It's kind of like evolution, Right. Evolution, like biological evolution. Like animals stopped talking about the fact that they were animals and they just started being animals.
I hope that gets cut out. We're swinging for the fences here on episode 1.
So, let's talk about Fez.
Let's talk about that cat.
If he could vote, what would he do? What would he check off?
What would he check off? The thing is he doesn't stand for anything on any level. Mm-hmm. I think that he would check off the box that was closest to him.
would he even check a box? Like, would he get in and just take a nap in the voting booth?
I think he might find a spot right under the light.
Yeah.
And he would just figure out a way to kind of stall and make noise like he's still working on his decision. You know, just a real undecided.
Yeah. See, okay, so what's kind of happened is Fez is like kind of running for president.
Right.
Like some people like think he's running for president,
Right.
but it's really ambiguous. Like
Right.
it's kind of like Fez, you know, knows something important is coming up, and he has to do something, you know, and he's not quite sure what it is, you know, like he is the one that's going to fix everything, but he is doing absolutely nothing.
So let's back up. You know, why have we thought that he would be anything close to being something that people would stand behind?
Well, let's back up a second. Let's talk about the t-shirt store. It just kind of started off as actually okay. Here's what happened. I was on Twitter, and the whole Ken Bone thing was happening, and I felt I had to do my duty, and I had to post something. So I all of a sudden got this amazing idea to post some stupid picture of Ken Bone as like the Hope Obama poster. You know?
Right.
I thought it was being real original. And so I ended up designing this thing off of some weird website, and it got me interested into Photoshop. And then, of course, I decided, I'm going to make a t-shirt company. And then...
Because you got 7 days left of the Photoshop trial, so
Exactly.
let's make a t-shirt company.
Exactly. And then I'm like, what am I going to call this t-shirt company? And immediately, like, I didn't even have to think. It just said the name For Fez just came straight to my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, For Fez Apparel. And I was like, okay, now I have to do something with Fez. I have to make a t-shirt in honor of Fez.
It's kind of how I, you know, every day my thought is, since I got him from the pound, was now I got to do something with Fez.
So here I am making stupid t-shirts with Fez's face on it. And I'm talking to Maria. And we're talking about the election, all this stuff, and I'm busy making t-shirts, cat t-shirts. Mm-hmm. And she's like, are you writing anything? Are you commenting at all on what's happening? And I'm like, no. I'm making cat t-shirts. She's like, the election's like 3 weeks away. Like, this could determine the course of our nation.
Of course, hyperbole coming from her. Okay.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, making cat t-shirts. And like, the thing is, like, I'm not oblivious to how important this election is. You know, we're literally 1 day away, and so it made me question, why am I stuck on this absurd thing?
What made you question?
Well, Maria, when she said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you writing? Why aren't you writing?" And I was like, it's not that I don't think it's important. It's things have gotten so crazy that I've kind of lost faith in the whole system, you know? Part of me just wants to watch it all fall apart. And I don't embrace that part of me, but I think that there is this sense that tomorrow, you know, whatever happens, like, it's going to break every expectation, you know? And it's just, there's this part of me like that, you know, that feeling you get right before a storm. Something big's about to happen. I feel like that feeling, and there's this adrenaline rush that wants me to, like, just, you know, light the match or pull the fire, you know,
The fire alarm. So what is what do you feel like creating an absurd t-shirt company plays into that? How does it do that?
So it made me realize, okay, here I am making this t-shirt company with our cat Fez. You know, and we've developed a whole mythology around Fez.
Right.
You know, we have this extended genealogy, you know, this whole personality, and we love to escape into it, right? It's extremely obscure and absurd. No one really gets it. And I think if we all were to be honest, I think all of us kind of want Trump to win. You know, there's a part of us that's like, oh, I want to see what happens if the clown becomes our president, you know, like, so we're all kind of disengaged a little bit. The candidate we wanted isn't running, you know, for most of us. We've all settled for someone else. So we're kind of, you know, not super interested. I mean, interested, but not super invested, you know. And I think we've all become fixated on these weird, obscure things. Like, for example, our obsession with Ken Bone. With the whole debate was going on, I felt like, I mean, you saw me. I was upside down on the couch filled with anxiety because I felt like the debate was just going to explode into chaos and violence.
This is the second debate after the Hollywood Reporter tape came out, the hot mic.
Right. Everything was so tense, and it was just so real. And as soon as Ken Bone spoke, there was this trigger in this social subconscious where we all latched onto that. And a lot of commentators were saying, oh, he's united the country, all this and that. And it's really just this fixation on an obscure, absurd joke, you know? Mm-hmm. And we all kind of escape to it because we all don't want to face the reality of the election. We've all kind of already given up a little bit on what defines America. So I made the t-shirt company. Well, I didn't make the t-shirt company for this reason, but it made me question our fixation on that absurd. And what I decided to make it into was this satirical look into our culture's fixation on the absurd. Mm-hmm. So I'm using this absurd cat, this absurd story, and I'm looking inward on all the things that we have fixated over the past year. Like the most recent picture is Fez looking up at a deteriorating flag, and at the top of the flag is a triangle with Ken Bone and Harambe. Mm-hmm. There's these two viral social media icons, you know, that have no real meaning, but we have made them into these heroes. And we've escaped into this other world through them, you know, and we've fixated on it because it seems like everything else is falling apart. So I'm using the absurd joke of our cat Fez running for president, kind of screwing around, not really knowing what he's doing. He has some kind of cause, you know. Fez has some kind of cause, and he's looking very inspiringly, you know. He's looking hopefully at this deteriorating flag, and it's kind of his comedic, satirical look at the state of our country. So that's kind of the whole theme of the whole philosophy behind For Fez apparel.
I think we better listen to these kids. We can't keep pretending we know what we're doing.
Right, so you're trying to basically show, you know, this goes back to high school, I guess it's economics, the concept of the law of diminishing returns, where you have, you have a piece of, say, bubble yum, which is just a completely exaggerated example of flavor, mm-hmm. right? You can basically smell them in the checkout line at the supermarket just by walking past it. It's so packed densely with everything that just on a human taste bud level is pleasurable, right? You know, you put the cube in your mouth and you chew it, and it's just like everything, your gums, everything just explodes in some sort of a sensation.
Right.
And so the law of diminishing returns would say that basically you put 2 of those cubes in your mouth, and, you know, it's not twice the it's not twice the flavor as one, and number 3 is not 3 times. And so basically at some point it just becomes a jaw ache.
Yeah.
You know, having all of these, if you put a whole pack in your mouth, it's just a nuisance, and you kind of throw your hands up and say, you know, I don't want this, you know, and so you're seeing Harambe and Ken Bone as sort of a really logical conclusion to this political season, where it's like you turn on the news and you're not surprised by anything.
I think because of that, we are all of a sudden reconsidering anarchy. You know, I don't think consciously, but I think our subconscious culture as a whole is questioning the system and is more inclined to hit the restart button. You know, and that's what anarchy is. Anarchy isn't a state of non-governing. It's not. Anarchy never stays anarchy. It's a cycle. It's every empire falls, and then from the ashes a new society.
Somebody waits for something to happen.
Right. Exactly.
For a system to be established.
Exactly. So I think our subconsciously we've seen everything happen. You know, we've seen the crazy demagogue with all the sexual scandals continue to succeed and continue to gain momentum. You know, with a rocky road. Like right now, Hillary and Trump are neck and neck, and for the past 4 weeks, we thought that Trump would just basically give up. You know, we thought that Hillary had it in the bag, and now polls are showing them neck and neck, and it's like, man, I think our society wants this. We want the drama, and we want the close, tense result. You know, and really, what we want is we want chaos, and there's this, you know, the arson inside of us that just wants to see it all destroyed so that we can start over.
Yeah.
But no one's going to admit that. No one's willing to admit that publicly and say, yeah, I'm kind of struggling with actually hoping that Trump wins.
Right. Well, those who are not supporters of it. I mean,
right.
The thing is, though, and you have to give many of his supporters credit, is that, you know, there's not people who are voting for Trump, probably largely those who are voting for Trump, are not saying, I want to watch it all burn down.
Right. Yeah, the people voting for him don't want that.
They do want him to drain the swamp.
Yeah.
And to get rid of a group of folks who have led us to where we are right now. But I think the inherent belief is that he's bringing back true America, right? So authentic America. I mean, if it's his slogan. His slogan is not rebuild America into something else. It's just to make something the way that it was before.
Right.
And you know, some people would say, well, I don't want it to be the way that it was before, because there were some pretty awful things that were just that were basics of our republic.
Right.
You know, that we're very happy to not have around anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, so I think there's this desire for the Washington, you know, establishment to be emptied out and to be filled with people who have the original goal, the original mindset in their own hearts, you know, who are going to just bring us back into something. And so, you know, and on the other hand, there are people who, like our friend at church, would probably say, you know, I'm voting for him because I do want to see it all burn down, and he is somebody who's just going to be a wrecking ball towards an entire system. You know, so it's not, again, I'm not hearing you say that people who are voting for Trump are just arsons.
Right.
You know, there's an element to that, but you know, there's also people who have a very very honorable desire.
Yeah.
to bring back some of the good things that we did have that we don't see as often anymore.
My cold-hearted child, tell me how you feel. Just a blade in the grass, I spoke onto the wheel.
Well, where do you see For Fez, the apparel arm of this media brand, to go after tomorrow? Is it dependent upon who's elected, or the kind of output that you create?
Yeah, I want it to. I want the voice to constantly be questioning the status quo. For whatever side, the left or the right, and I feel ever since I moved to Arsenio Hall here in Pasadena, California, I've been much more critical of the left. Some of the just blind assumptions that we have made. And I've also seen this. I've seen this among a lot of other progressives. People are kind of just sick of being identified as just a Democrat or just a Republican, but particularly the Democrats, because I have a lot of friends that were big Bernie supporters, especially from Vermont. I just see them post stuff all the time, and they are very critical of Hillary Clinton and the way. Really, the biggest thing was how the DNC treated Bernie Sanders, and it highlighted this major hypocrisy that a lot of people just can't get over, but these people can't vote for Trump either, and I think whatever the scenario is, we have to hold our elected officials, every elected official, to a high standard. We can't. This isn't sports. I'm not rooting for the Patriots. I'm not rooting for the Red Sox. I'm rooting for my country. So it's not that I want to see the Democrats win, or it's not that I want to see the Republicans win. It's I want every candidate, every elected official to be held to this standard. So, for example, I may want Hillary Clinton to win, but I don't want people to forget about the injustices that she has committed, with the way she treated Bernie Sanders in the election, and the way the whole DNC really favored her and rigged rigged. I want to stay away from that phrasing, but
primaries.
Yeah, the primaries. I mean, maybe Hillary would have won regardless. If the debate moderators hadn't given her the questions beforehand, or if the DNC hadn't gone to all this effort to put Bernie in this negative light and put Hillary in this light. These are all hypotheticals, but it does show that there is bias and to a certain level corruption in that system, and we can't stop talking about it. We can't stop talking about it because we're afraid of how it'll make our side look. We have to be just as critical about ourselves as we are the other side. And even that terminology, I want to break that up. I don't want it, and I think all America as a whole wants to move away from this polarizing political atmosphere. So going back to where do I see For Fez, the media branch of this, going, is I want to use sarcasm, satire, and absurd humor to make us question the assumptions we have about ourselves and the assumptions we have about what we make to identify, what we use to identify us. So that's where I see that going.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you. Donata. So just to let you guys know, whenever I say Donata, we do a little bow. So it's nice.
We're mixing up the cultures, which I think is important.
A bow with the hands together. Donata.
Gilby here is laughably absent in any sort of knowledge about the Spanish language, and so the story is that I don't even know how it started. All I know is that Gilby, whenever there is a moment where you would say something like "thank you," or "I'll see you later," or just thanks of some kind, I appreciate it. He does a little bow. He swoops his right leg, to his left calf, and he says "de nada."
Yes, and if you happen to have anything in your hands preventing you from making the little prayer sign posture, you have to bend all the way to the ground, standing up. So you're not on your knees. You bow all the way to the ground with whatever's in your hands, and you put your forehead and you place it against the ground, and you say "de nada."
So stay tuned for the next episode where we will continue using visual descriptions or descriptions for visual movements.
I think we should end with our dance. All
right,
the Moaning Po' Boy dance. All right, that was a success.
Shut up.
I got some tips from outside sources.
You said tips.
Tips.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. From an outside source saying Sodexo might be a big sponsor.
Well, it looks like I think that would be good. I think it might be Blue Apron might not be super excited about Sodexo being a part of that, but you know what the thing is that we'll edit a joke in.
Well, yeah. The thing is, Sodexo brings something completely new to the table that Blue Apron wasn't able to back when aprons were not blue.
Before we were able to start harvesting clam blood for the color blue.
Right. Back when clams were in decline.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. That's kind of the weird deal about colors is it's mostly all just the color of shellfish is
Blood.
Blood. So, I mean, the thing is that we, folks in the Middle Ages, when blue started to really come into its own as a color, they were thinking that blue was a sign of the upcoming rapture,
Right.
and so.
And pink was a sign of fertility.
Yeah.
And variety.
And variety. When you saw the color pink, you really thought, man, there's going to be a lot of variety is coming up tonight.
Chicago!